wanted to draw your attention to the reality of the safari industry as it looks now. Last year, when the pandemic hit, everyone was convinced that it would be the COVID transmission which would put Africa into crisis. A year on, we now see that it's the lack of tourism which has really affected this amazing continent. For whatever reason, there's been extremely low COVID transmission here. See Part 2 for more information on that. The lack of tourism has meant that many areas protected by tourism, providing livelihoods for people in the area, and also keeping poaching to a minimum, have been empty. It takes less than 2 weeks for poaching and habitat encroachment to start. This year, really sadly, we're seeing a lot more people want to postpone again. We totally understand why. It's not possible for everyone to travel right now, but that means it's a second year with no money for conservation. We've been doing our best to keep clients and lodges happy. When you have to cancel or postpone, the first thought that comes into our head is crushing disappointment for you. We put weeks and weeks into planning your trip. The minute detail that goes in, as you know, is huge, and we really, really want you to be there. That's our main objective, is to get you out there, but we understand not everyone is able to travel right now. The second thought that goes through our head is, how are these lodges going to support the hundreds and hundreds of people that are currently taking their livelihood from tourism in their particular area? How are they going to protect the wildlife in that area when there's no funds for conservation? So it's a balancing act. You know, when you booked your holiday, it wasn't just a holiday, and whether you knew it or not at the time, it was a contribution to a better natural world, and that's what we're trying to balance at the moment. So please, when you cancel or when you postpone, be kind, be patient. We're going to do the absolute best we can for you, but we've got to keep Africa safe, and that includes its people, many of whom indirectly take their livelihoods from tourism, and even more directly take their livelihoods from tourism. Often they have up to 10, 15 people relying on their salary from a job in tourism. We need tourism back up and running, and that's why we will continue to travel here, we'll continue to assess the situation for clients, and we'll continue to make sure it's safe for you to come. See Part 2 for why travelling to Africa is safe. Part 2. Travel to Africa is safe. If I start by just saying that the worst thing that could happen to us as agents, or the lodges and camps that we sell, is that something could happen to you or your family while you're on safari. So we'd never be recommending travel to Africa unless we felt extremely confident that it was safe. Myself and others from our office at the Luxury Safari Company have taken it upon ourselves to travel throughout Africa during the pandemic to ensure that all the reports from every country of low transmission, excellent safety protocols, and of course the new entry requirements are all true. We found this to be the case throughout, and in fact have felt much safer on safari than many of our friends and family who live in the UK, the States, and the UAE. So here we are. I'd like to start with air travel. This is a real bone of contention for some people, and presents a really fearful factor of going on holiday. grill the poor air stewards as to what's happening in their world. The amazing thing is that hardly any of them have had COVID, hardly any of them know anyone who's had COVID, and they're being tested bi-weekly. These people are on flights every week, all week. It's their job, and we really feel if they're not catching COVID, that the chances of a client catching COVID are so small. Social distancing on aircraft is very easy at the moment because there aren't as many people flying as normal. Every airport we've been through has had the most stringent safety protocols in place to keep social distancing available at all times. Hand sanitizer, masks, everything is worn and people keep apart, and it seems to be working. On top of this, the international airlines, all the aircraft will have HEPA air filters, which make it virtually impossible to catch a virus on an international flight. And then, of course, we arrive in Africa. Every single country has implemented amazing safety protocols at all their camps. But it does not impact your safari. You'll still have the life-changing experiences that you dreamed of. But you will be kept away from other people. You'll have a private guide and a private butler. And so you'll be in a bubble with them and your family for your entire stay. You can, of course, mix with the other guests if you wish. Everyone who will be on safari will have had a PCR test before flying out, so we can presume and hope that they are not carrying COVID. Many of the staff in the camps have also isolated in the camp before serving guests, so they have been there for a month, sometimes 2 months, so there's no COVID in the camps that you are travelling to. Travel to Africa is safe, and we would never ever recommend it if it wasn't. If there are any dangers, if cases rise in any of our countries, we will stop travel immediately and help you to postpone or help you to cancel and refund your holiday. There are so many options out there for you, but currently Africa is safe, and we found it to be safe the entire way through the pandemic. At this point in the pandemic, the low transmission throughout Africa is unlikely to rise. Many people will have reported that the low transmission is because of lack of testing. This is not the case, because at no point have East or Southern Africa's hospitals been overwhelmed or full, and they have not seen death figures like we've seen in the UK, the States, and Europe. So it is factually correct to say that transmission in Africa has been very low. There are lots of theories around this. When the science comes out, we'll be very, very fascinated to know, but the theories currently are that they are a very young population, they live outdoors, and they already have a very, very high immune system. So COVID will not affect them in the way it has been affecting the Western world. We really hope we can get you out to Africa soon, and we hope you find this video reassuring. Of course, we can go into a lot more detail on every single point, so please don't hesitate to ask.